Hello there from Nashville, Tennessee. This is Professor Mack talking to you and just wanting to get us going in the semester. I'm so glad you've joined this course. I have some notes, so if I look away from the screen like this or like this, it doesn't mean I'm a psycho and my eyes are weird. It just means that I'm looking at something else. So I hope that you got through the first week of course materials, the sort of overview that was presented. Now, bear in mind that this online course is going to be a hybrid of sorts. I'm going to be adding some of my teaching materials from when I taught this course face-to-face at DBU and supplementing the original online course that was written and posted. So every week may have a different look under course materials. This coming week, week 2, is a good example of that. I am posting an overview of music publishing as well as early history of music publishing. I think it's important to start off with the basics of where music publishing came from, how it all began, etc. So first off, let's get going with this. I hope you've all purchased this book. I chose it because it's inexpensive. It has some pretty good basic nuts and bolts for music publishing. It's the book by Wixon and foreword by Tom Petty. The other book that's mentioned in the course materials by the author Passman, ignore that. We will not be using that book, okay? So I hope you've had a chance to review the syllabus for the semester. The book that I just held up, you should have that. You should read pages 1 through 13 by the end of this week. And you should also answer those questions under session 1 of the course discussion. Those are the questions that you're going to answer for me and for your classmates, so we can all know about you. So the first lesson that was posted for the intro week last week had a review of some copyright basics, and some of that will also happen within what my lecture notes say this week that you'll be reading. My semester expectations are that you finish well, that you contact me whenever you need to, and that when you have a question. All right, so I'm going to try to make this course as interesting as I can. Music publishing courses that I've studied in the past are often not that exciting. It's fairly dry material. So I will be supplementing certain things to try to make it interesting for you. And the things that I insert into the course are things that I think will be helpful to you and help paint the full picture of what you're studying about. So this first go around this week, I have posted overview of music publishing as well as an early history of music publishing. And as I look down now, one of my questions asking you is, what is music publishing? And I've written, in its simplest form, music publishing is the activity of copying and distributing someone's writings or music to an extended audience. That's basically music publishing. Music registration is something entirely different, and we will get into that. This course title is Music Publishing, but you cannot have publishing without copyright and licensing. At least you cannot tell the full story. So the course title, Music Publishing, is a bit of a misnomer. It should be Music Publishing, Copyright, and Licensing. We will get into copyright and licensing in depth. The other definition for music publishing is simply signing your song over to a music publisher. All right, so you can sign it over to a music publisher, or you can distribute it to a wider audience. That is basically, in a nutshell, what the simplest form of music publishing is. Some of the earliest songs ever published are the Psalms from the Old Testament. We know they were songs because they were sung. Jesus sung the Psalms. And so these have been around for thousands of years. So the Psalms are a great source of early music publishing. All right. Now, I've got some links, and hopefully they have not been taken down, but I've got some links in the notes for you to listen to some psalms that have had music set to them and been recorded. And so I'd like you to listen to those, okay? Now, I've also mentioned in my notes that music publishing in its fullest meaning, it's about spreading your intellectual property. Okay, music publishing is intellectual property, whether written, spoken, or performed to a broad audience. It's about having confidence that your work is protected by law, and it is about collecting revenues from the audiences that enjoy your work. It is rights management. Okay, remember that term, rights management. I've also got a section here about what does a good music publisher do, and there's even a link on here about what a bad music publisher does. All right, and so we don't like those publishers, so we want to know what a good publisher does. So go through this section. It'll be in course material. It'll be towards the end of course, or the bottom of course material. It'll be posted for this week. I've also posted my lecture notes on music publishing, a brief survey of early music publishing history. And once again, it mentions the Psalms as being some of the earliest, if not the earliest, music ever published. So we go into some history behind early music publishing. Who was the first music publisher that collected revenues? Kind of a surprise. And King Henry VIII did not do it for the songwriter. He did it for himself. But you can go through that. Listen to the links I have on there for early music published performed works. There's some more Psalms works mentioned, and things for you to listen. I talk about the very first book ever published in the British colonies, right here in Massachusetts. The very first book ever published here in the British colonies was the Book of Psalms. The church needed something to sing from collectively, and they chose the Book of Psalms. So Governor of Massachusetts brought a printing press over, and the rest is history. That was sort of the first hymnal in the British colonies. Let's see, I've got some review dates for early copyright dates, copyright acts, and talk a little bit about New York City, and what else can I tell you here? I touch a little bit on what I've already talked to you about in my earlier class, a little bit about Tin Pan Alley and the Brill Building. We may get into that a little bit more because it is so important to U.S. music publishing history. So give those lecture notes a look through, listen to the links. They should be helpful to you. Get the book, read pages 1 through 13, and go through the syllabus. If you haven't done so, please answer session 1 questions on your discussion board. I don't think I have any discussion questions activated. The ones that are written into the online course are, you're not ready for those yet. So, yeah, you don't need to get into those yet. And I will see you next week, okay? And let's all remember to pray for South Texas. We're watching it here on the news in horror. Our favorite getaway place when we lived right there in Cedar Hill was Port Aransas and Surfside, Freeport down there. Those were our go-to places when we wanted to get away in Texas. So let's all agree to pray this week for what's unfolding for our brothers and sisters there in South Texas. All right? All right, that's all for now. God bless you, and we'll be in touch. Thanks. Bye.